I was feeling so feverish that I could barely stand. As my consciousness started to fade, I called out to my husband for help, but he left me alone, unable to move due to a high fever of 104 degrees Fahrenheit. I went on a company trip. I was rushed to the hospital. Is his job that important? Is this the kind of company that forces employees to go on company trips, leaving their sick wives behind? I was about to give up in anger. After I was discharged from the hospital, an unexpected person appeared before me. My name is Lisa and I'm 28 years old. I attended a film school and I'm now working from home creating videos. I got married to my husband Kevin 3 years ago. We met through a mountain climbing club I joined during my time at the vocational school. This club is a fairly free gathering that includes both students and working adults. Since we shared the same hobby, we started going to all kinds of mountains. Kevin, who was the same age as me, was easy to get along with and we naturally started having lively conversations. We continued dating even after we started working, and it eventually led to us getting married. Kevin, who was a college student at the time, got a job at a regular company after graduation. Even though I work from home, he helped me a lot with the housework while we first got married. Just because you work from home doesn't mean you're working less, Lisa. Let's divide the housework equally. But the burden on me and you is completely different. It's fine, I can't cook, so I'll leave that to you. But I can do things like clean the bathroom, take out the trash. Kevin, thank you, this really helps me out. Don't worry, I got you. I'm really grateful for everything you do, Lisa. We're a couple, so let's do our best together. His kind words always warm my heart. I'm so glad I married him. I truly felt that way from the bottom of my heart. I'm happy now, but I would like to have children before I turn 30, which will be in 3 years. I'm thinking about discussing this with my husband, but I've been feeling a little anxious lately. That is, his behavior is a bit off and I feel distant with him lately. It all started with a trivial thing. He started working overtime more often about 2 months ago, and he started coming home extremely late. We started eating dinner separately more often and we spent time less and less as a couple. I started to worry when he had to work overtime for several days in a row, which used to be quite infrequent. When he came home late at night, I decided to ask him about it. Kevin, you've been working a lot of overtime lately. Are you really that busy? Yeah. I have a lot of work to do. I've been cooped up in the office all the time. Are you okay? You often don't eat dinner when you come home. Your body can't take it if you keep this up. I'm fine. I'm expected to do well by my superiors. If I do well now, I might get promoted. But if you get sick from working too hard, it's all for nothing. Then my husband let out a long sigh I had never heard before, and reluctantly opened his mouth. You know, Lisa, I don't have a laid-back job like you that I can do at home. What, Kevin? Sorry, but my job is the most important thing right now. You don't need to make dinner for me anymore. But I've always waited for you because I wanted to eat together. Stop being so persistent. Didn't I tell you not to make it? Don't get in the way of my work. Are you going to take responsibility if I don't get promoted? My husband glared at me with a terrifying look. I was taken aback by his sharp gaze and involuntarily took a step back. After a long silence, he muttered something and left the living room. As soon as I was alone in the room, I was overwhelmed by an indescribable sense of emptiness. I couldn't understand what was happening because it was the first time he had pushed me away like this. I was only trying to express my worries. Why did he have to react so harshly? He used to be a kind and gentle man, not cold and distant. I wish he wouldn't push himself so hard at work to the point where he loses patience. I see no trace of the kind and loving husband I once knew in him now. The thought made me incredibly lonely. The rift between us only continued to grow, our daily conversations becoming more and more minimal. Now, after 2 months, we barely even see each other. The housework, which he used to help with enthusiastically, is now entirely neglected. It all falls on me. I feel like a housekeeper. Does Kevin not love me anymore? Do you prioritize work because of something I did? The thought suddenly crossed my mind, leading me to loathe myself. I could have asked him directly, but I was scared of confronting the reality. Then one day, I woke up early in the morning feeling unwell. Why am I burning up like this? My head hurts too and my vision is blurred. When I tried to get out of bed, I collapsed onto the floor because my body felt so heavy. I tried to get up, but my body wouldn't cooperate. Awakened by the noise, my husband Kevin was standing by my side. I reached out to him for help, but he just ignored me and looked down at me saying, "What are you doing? Hurry up and make breakfast." Wait, Kevin, I think I have a really high fever. I'm sorry to ask on your day off, but could you take me to the hospital? Fever? Huh? You're overreacting. Are you just trying to get out of doing chores? Oh, that's not it. Please help me. I reached out to him again, but he just brushed off my hand. Kevin, why? I'm really not feeling well. I'm tired of this, always pretending to be sick. Aren't you embarrassed? I'm not pretending. My body really won't listen to me. Whatever. Stay like that forever then. I have a company trip today, so I'll be leaving now. What? A company trip? I didn't hear anything about this. I don't need to tell you every little thing. I'll be back in 3 days. Kevin walked past me and left the bedroom. I managed to get up by leaning against the wall and tried to follow him, but he didn't pay any attention to me. Being left alone in this condition, just thinking about it sent chill down my spine. I followed Kevin towards the front door and tried to stop him. Wait, Kevin, please take me to the hospital before you leave. You're so annoying. I'm leaving now. You can slack off all the chores while away. That should make you happy, right? I'm not trying to slack off. I just really don't feel good. I need some medicine from the hospital. I told you you're overreacting. Just go to sleep. It will get better. Don't interfere with my plans. No, please, wait. Wait, Kevin. Despite my pleas, he left without looking back. When the door closed, an overwhelming sense of despair washed over me. My body was burning hot, but it felt a chill. I also felt nauseous. There's no medicine here. I have to go to the hospital. With determination, I decided to head to the hospital. It took much longer than usual to get dressed, and with great difficulty, I managed to start walking to the hospital. There were no taxis in this area, so I had to walk to the nearby hospital. It's been a long time since I last had a fever this high. I'm normally in good health, so I'm not resistant to such situations, making me feel very physically uncomfortable. Even as I slowly head to the hospital, my body feels heavy and I can hardly move forward. I take one step and stop, a few steps, then rest by holding onto a street pole. My vision spins and I lose consciousness. A few hours later, I wake up to find a white ceiling above me. I look around and realize that I'm lying down in a hospital room. After a while, a nurse enters the room and asks, "How are you feeling?" I finally learn what has happened to me. I had fainted and fallen on the street. A passerby called 911 and I was brought here by an ambulance. The passerby stayed with me until the ambulance arrived. I had a high fever of over 104 degrees Fahrenheit and I was unconscious, so I had to be given an IV. Thanks to that, my body now feels significantly lighter. I told the doctor, I'm okay, but I was kept in the hospital for one more day as a precaution. By the next day, my fever had subsided and I recovered as if nothing had happened. When I asked about the passerby who helped me, I was told I didn't know who it was. It's disappointing, but there was nothing I could do about it, so I went home. When I arrived home in the afternoon, I decided to call my husband, Kevin, and pulled out my phone. However, for some reason, I couldn't tap the call button. What if he doesn't answer? What if he doesn't worry about me even if he does answer? What should I do if he says don't call for such a thing? My husband left me suffering from a high fever and went on a company trip. I'm scared just thinking about what he would say if I called him now. If he reacts in an annoyed manner over the phone, my mental state wouldn't be able to handle it. The more I thought about it, the more I hesitated to call him. As I was having a staring contest with my phone, I was brought back to reality by the sound of the doorbell. Checking the monitor, there stood a strange man holding a paper bag. I cautiously opened the door with the chain still on it, asked nervously, "Can I help you?" My apologies. My name is Eric Weiss from Weiss Enterprises. Weiss Enterprises? Isn't that where my husband— Wait, you're Mr. Weiss? Yes, I'm the president of Weiss Enterprises. How are you feeling, Lisa? To my surprise, it was my husband's boss who visited me. Why on earth would such a person come to visit? In my confusion, I took off the door chain and managed to utter some words. Mr. Weiss, why are you here, and how do you know about my condition? Sorry for not explaining. I was the one who found you collapsed in the street yesterday and called 911. Wait, you were? Yes. But I was surprised. I thought Kevin was always accompanying you to the hospital. Always accompanying? Mr. Weiss asked with a puzzled look as I stood there confused. You've been sickly, haven't you, Lisa? And it's been particularly tough lately, so Kevin has been taking a lot of time off work to accompany you to the hospital. Wait a minute, what are you talking about? Well, you've been sick and have had to go to the hospital, so Kevin has been taking a lot of time off work recently. No, that's not true. I'm not sickly. Really? Then why are you collapsed in the street yesterday? Well, yesterday I happened to have a high fever for the first time in a long time. I asked Kevin to take me to the hospital, but he left me behind saying he had a company trip. I was trying to go to the hospital by myself. Company trip? What are you talking about? We haven't had a company trip for 2 years now, given the current situation. The more we talked, the more the inconsistencies became apparent. What's certain is that my husband had been lying to both me and the CEO, Eric. When it became clear that the company trip was a lie, I had a sinking feeling and hurried to my husband's room. I turned on his usual computer and checked his email inbox. There, I found a massive amount of correspondence with a woman who seemed to be his mistress. That was the moment my feelings for him instantly cooled. Upon further investigation, I found several two-shot photos with his mistress saved in his image folder. Some were quite risque. Having pieced everything together, I showed these photos to Eric and revealed everything. Mr. Weiss, it seems my husband is having an affair. This was saved on his computer and the dates are weekdays. Then you mean to tell me that his frequent absences from the company saying he was accompanying his wife to the hospital were all lies? Yes, they're lies. He's probably meeting with his mistress. What? To use his own family for such a thing? Eric was livid, turning red in the face right before my eyes. I unconsciously picked up my smartphone and called my husband. The call rang out, but there was no response. Nonetheless, I did not give up and continued to call him over and over. After about 10 minutes, Kevin finally answered. Perhaps he knew it was me, but he sounded lethargic. I turned on the speakerphone and confronted him in front of Eric. Hey, what are you doing? And where are you right now? Well, we mean all of a sudden. I told you I was on a company trip. Don't lie. You're probably with your mistress, aren't you? What? What are you talking about? There's no way. Stop making baseless accusations. Don't call me for something like this. Baseless? Or is it that you're just rattled because I found out the truth? What? Anyway, I have to go. Mr. Weiss called me. Eric called him? There's no way that's true. After all, Eric is right in front of me. I said in a cold voice. That's odd. You see, Mr. Weiss is at home with me. Oh, what are you talking about? There's no way. As my husband began to protest, Eric himself interjected. There is a way, Kevin. That voice. Can it be? Really, Mr. Weiss? Eric cleared his throat. When your wife, Lisa, fell on the street, I happened to be there. I came to visit today, but I had no idea you were lying. It's not like that. It's a misunderstanding. Why would you know Lisa? Remember the company barbecue a few years back? Your wife was there, wasn't she? That's why I remembered her face. She has a wonderful smile, very memorable. So when you said such a wonderful wife was ill, I allowed you to take time off to accompany her to the hospital with you. It's not like that, Mr. Weiss. There's a reason. My husband desperately tried to mend the situation, but that wasn't going to work anymore. Eric thundered at him over the phone. Listen well, you're fired. Don't ever set foot in my company again. No, wait, please, Mr. Weiss, please. Lisa, you beg him too. If I get fired, your win-up told me he ends me. Rather than apologizing, he was threatening our livelihood. That's when I completely lost any remaining affection for him. Memories of past hardships flashed through my mind. As if chewing on the emotional scars he inflicted, I told him, enough already. Why can't you apologize even now? After all, it's your fault for lying and having an affair in the first place. Why should I have to apologize for that? Don't be ridiculous. Go, Lisa, go. Because of trash like you, I've suffered immensely. But it ends today. I'm leaving you. Don't you dare appear in front of me again. I hope you and your mistress sink as low as you possibly can. I held back a ragged breath and unilaterally hung up the phone. My husband immediately tried to call back, but I set my phone to reject his calls. I quickly packed my bags and returned to my parents' house in my hometown. To my surprise, Eric, Kevin's boss, was the one who helped my move. Eventually, my husband returned to our empty house. Once he realized what had happened, he went to my parents' house, but my furious father forcibly made him sign the divorce papers. My husband knelt and begged in front of me and my parents, but as he was leaving, my mother tossed a good amount of salt in his path. I hired a lawyer, demanded compensation from Kevin and his mistress for the emotional distress they had caused. On top of that, he was also facing a lawsuit for misusing company funds on his dates with his mistress. Apparently, his mistress promptly dumped him when he could no longer provide her with money. Having lost his job and been abandoned by his mistress, Kevin had hit rock bottom. Even his own family and relatives turned their backs on him. Now he spends his days working odd jobs or looking for a new job. Meanwhile, I'm enjoying a laid-back life, continuing my remote work at my parents' home. I still occasionally exchange letters with Eric, who even invited me for a meal recently. Now he's like a father figure to me. After all, I was able to leave Kevin thanks to Eric. I can't express enough gratitude towards Eric, who rescued me, and my parents, who warmly accepted me. I'm committed to gradually giving back to Eric, staking my life on it.